Coming up on F1 24/7 News this week, Haas released Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen, and we'll start with a brand new lineup for the 2021 season. We talk about the drivers from Formula 1 and Formula 2 who could possibly take the two seats at the American team. Worrying news at Racing Point as Lance Stroll will sit out the Portuguese Grand Prix as he has sadly contracted COVID-19, and we talk about the drivers who could replace him for not just Portugal but for the future at Racing Point / Aston Martin. So we've got a lot of news to cover ahead of the Portuguese Grand Prix. Some big news from Formula 1, and the silly season is definitely kicking off. Before we start the news, though, obviously welcome to the F1 Debate Show. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell and the subscribe button. We are close to 3,000 subscribers. We would absolutely adore it if you guys could help us out and get to 3K before the end or the checkered flag falls in Abu Dhabi. Please help us out. We hope that you enjoy our content. We've also moved our F1 Debate Show on the Saturdays to SoundCloud, so please go and head over to SoundCloud. Links will be left in the description box below where you can find our SoundCloud account. We've had episode 1 which came out last week, which was around a 90-minute conflab between me and of course my co-host Jordan. To be honest, just Formula 1 was mentioned briefly. It was more about us and just an absolute gab fest. It really was. We absolutely love it. We do hope that you guys do too. We will be getting, of course, into a lot more Formula 1 stuff in the future, so please go and head over to SoundCloud. If you don't have SoundCloud, please go and download it, give us a follow, and we do hope that you enjoy our content both on YouTube and SoundCloud. Also, as well, final thing before we do start the news, of course, I was not on Agree or Disagree, and the podcast tomorrow I will not be on as well. I will be on doing the race reaction, but the situation of me, of course, very much like a fellow YouTuber, John, or MotorMeerkat, I'm in the final year of university. It's very difficult for me to find the time. I am also working. I'm also doing a lot of uni work. It's very hectic at the moment. I had to text Jordan, about an hour before we had to record the other day and just say, unfortunately, I can't do it because I'm so busy. So again, I apologise for my presence not being on the shows too much over the winter and of course into next year. I can't say that I will be on many of the episodes. It will most likely be Jordan as well, either singular videos like race reactions and the news, or even our joint videos such as Agree or Disagree. Of course, thank you so much to our guest that we had on Thursdays, Agree or Disagree, for helping Jordan out in this time. Of course, you had brilliant opinions. We do thank you for being on our channel. Again, links to his YouTube channel will be left in the description box below. So it might be more so Jordan for the next few months. But I do hope that you understand. I am in third year. It is very important. And as I say, that for me, it's a benefit of having Jordan on the channel. When I can't do it, the other presenter does pick up. So thank you very much for that. I do hope you appreciate it. Of course, help us out in terms of subscribing and head over to SoundCloud. And without further ado, let's get into the news. Haas have just announced that not one but two of their drivers, Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen, will be leaving the American team at the end of the 2020 season, and they will have a brand new lineup for the 2021 season. It's big news, especially for the French driver who has been at the team since 2016, since the very start of Haas, and has driven all of the American team's races. Esteban Gutierrez was in the seat in 2016, but he was replaced by Danish driver Kevin Magnussen, and that has been the partnership ever since 2017. An up and down road for Haas, it really has been over the years. Haas got off to an amazing start in 2016 with a great finish in the points for Roman Grosjean in Australia. It was the first time since a constructor had done that since Toyota in 2002 as a brand new constructor coming into Formula 1 to get points, and Haas had just done that. Absolutely incredible for them. They've had some good finishes as well. Roman and Kevin definitely scrapping out for the points, and showing Haas are a team that is climbing up the ranks. Last year was terrible for them. Stupid little rookie mistakes by the team, and just not a powerful enough Ferrari engine in that car. And 2019 was disappointing for them. They thought 2020 could be a bounce back year. It's been progressive, but it hasn't ended up too well. There has been a lot of talk about where Kevin and Roman are going to be going after the end of the 2020 season with Haas, but it looks like the end of their road in Formula 1 is upon them. Both have been in Formula 1 for a very long time. Roman Grosjean starting over 10 years ago with Renault, and Kevin Magnussen as well in a young position when he entered Formula 1, promoted up to McLaren in 2014, went to Renault, and has been progressive but also turbulent for Kevin Magnussen. Again, going to McLaren, the team that, much like Sergio Perez, might have just ended or might have just hindered his career and possibly stopped him from progressing even further up that he wanted to do. Of course, Romain Grosjean, a driver who should have definitely been given a chance at a top team, of course, promising in the world of Renault, in the world of Ferrari also. But he took a gamble in 2016 to go with this brand new American team. It has paid off for him. He, of course, saw another another year with the American team, of course, over Esteban Gutierrez. It has worked out for him in the long run. But after 5 seasons, he will be bowing out of the team. Danish driver Kevin Magnussen will also be bowing out of the team, which... Firstly, I feel like that's quite fair. You know, I mean, I know Formula 1, of course, isn't there to be fair. I know Gunter Steiner, doesn't care about any of the drivers' feelings or anything like that. Of course, it is a business, but there's been a lot of talk about one of the drivers stepping down. Again, we'll get into the who should take the seats in a little bit, but there has been talk about, should Romain step down? Should Kevin step down? When I say step down, I mean fired. I don't mean voluntary step down, that they would never do that. And I think this is quite fair from them. A lot of people have been on Team Roman, a lot of people have been on Team Kevin, either supporting them or saying that they should be going. The results aren't good enough. They've been at the team for X amount of years. Of course, Roman been there one more year than his counterparts. Who should be giving up their seat for the likes of any of the Formula 2 drivers or any of the Formula 1 drivers that are left without a seat? And I feel like this is quite fair. We're going to be starting again. Haas, since 2017 are going to be starting again on a clean slate, and they will be going again for their brand new drivers. But it is big news for Romain and Kevin. Of course, Romain and Kevin have both released statements on Instagram saying how much they admire the opportunity that they've been given to drive for the team. And of course, admiring their run. Also, Gunter Steiner as well, who you might think might not be a big fan of the two drivers, especially Romain after Netflix Drive to Survive, but definitely is and has been given his admiration for Romain also as well, and Gene Haas. It seems like it's been a good partnership. It really, really has. Those two drivers will definitely be missed. And yeah, there we go. Haas is without the two drivers. So, who will be taking their seat? There has been a lot of talk about the Formula 2 drivers coming through, especially 2 names in particular. First one we've got to start off with is Mick Schumacher. Now, Mick has been rumoured to take the Alfa Romeo seat if and possibly when Kimi Räikkönen does retire at the end of this season. But with Kimi Räikkönen, we really don't know, and we were expecting a result in the last few weeks. Is he going to retire? Let us know in the comment section below. Probably not. Also as well, what's going to happen with Antonio Giovinazzi also. But instead of looking at what he could be taking, this is a seat that he can take. This is free. This is gone. This is for him. Now again, there's been talk in since this information has been released about a day and a half ago. Almost like as soon as it was released, the talk was that Mick Schumacher and Robert Schwartzman were going to be taking these 2 seats. Called Robert Schwartzman working alongside Haas, and of course a Ferrari driver in the Ferrari Academy program, and of course also Mick Schumacher in the Ferrari program, and on the verge of becoming a Formula 2 champion. It looks like it's going to be literally written in the stars for Mick and Robert. That is the end of the news. Thank you very much for watching. No. So that is the word on the... That's the word on the street. That's the word on the street that Mick Schumacher and Robert Schwartzman will be taking the Haas seat, but there's also another few drivers that are in the mix. Now, again, Callum is not in the Ferrari Junior program, but there is a talk that he could be on the verge of getting that. And also one of my favourite drivers, and a driver who is a 3rd place driver and in the Ferrari program and a Formula 2 driver also, is Louis Delatraz from Switzerland. Along with Romain Grosjean, they've had a big partnership with driving in Switzerland, of course, with some Swiss companies and things like that. And Haas has a bit of a sway in the Swiss world. Of course, Romain, French driver, but is Swiss by birth. Swiss. He definitely has Swiss that he drives alongside. Louis is good, and he's rumoured to get that seat alongside, but more so than a few other drivers that might be also. Mick and Robert are still very much in contention for that seat, but Louis Delatraz definitely getting up there. So I would say it's a 3-way battle between Mick, Robert and Louis. Callum is also there, maybe also some other drivers in Formula 2 also. But you've also got to say, what about the Formula 1 drivers that have not got a seat? Now, we do look to the ex-Force India drivers of Sergio Perez and Nico Hulkenberg. Of course, we will be getting at Nico Hulkenberg in another story. We will also be mentioning Sergio Perez. And there's also a certain Canadian I just want to skim over just in case, and a certain British driver I just want to skim over. That one's very risky. So we'll leave that till the end, shall we? So Nico Hulkenberg, of course, let's start with him. Now, again, I'll say there's going to be another story coming out about Nico Hulkenberg very, very soon. He might possibly, or is most likely, let's say 100% going to get a drive this weekend, of course. But again, I'll get onto that story in a little bit. So Nico Hulkenberg has definitely not got a seat for the 2021 season. He never had a seat for the 2020 season. But just like a reserve goalkeeper, just like Andy Dalton at the Dallas Cowboys, it's not a great situation to sub in, but he must be feeling happy because he gets the call up to the plate. And he's driven in 2 races in the British Grand Prix, even though he didn't unfortunately start the race. He drove in the 70-year anniversary race, of course, the first race of 2020 that he actually did race for. Those 2 races were done, of course, in Sergio Perez's vacant seat, of course, who sadly contracted COVID-19 when he was travelling over to the UK from Mexico. That was a 2-week period. He was in isolation. He did miss 2 races, of course. He is perfectly fine now. So Nico Hulkenberg did 2 events and, of course, 1 race in the Force Racing Point, as I should say. Car, of course, he did used to drive for Force India back in, obviously, last year before he retired at the end of the 2019 season. And of course, he has also done the Eiffel Grand Prix, which was the race in Germany around the Nürburgring. He subbed in for Lance Stroll, who had not contracted COVID-19 at this point. Of course, that has been said. It was just that he was feeling unwell. Firstly, Force India must be feeling very good that they have a backup driver in that way, and that has opened doors to say Nico Hulkenberg will be taking a seat at Aston Martin. You know, yes, we've got Sebastian Vettel, and yes, Sergio Perez has left the team, and yes, of course, Lance Stroll is there. But the fact that Nico Hulkenberg is so dependable is incredible. But we're not going to be talking about Racing Point here. We're going to be talking about Haas. Nico has not got a seat, and of course is a man who is definitely destined to get to Ferrari, and of course has swayed up and down the paddock. And there was talk in 2019 that he would be replacing one of the 2 drivers, most likely French driver Romain Grosjean, and he will be taking the seat alongside Kevin Magnussen at the American team. Now, of course, I know exactly what you're thinking. Once again, one of the most whatever he says, and then suck my balls, honey. That's exactly what you are thinking. It probably wouldn't be a great partnership, but we never know. But there was definitely rumours, of course, when all of this was moving around. There was also talk about Nico going back to Renault, but then he decided to pull the plug. It might have been jumped, he might have been pushed, but he was not in Formula 1 for this year. He has been having a few drives, of course, a lot of influence in the F1 seat, of course, alongside a driver who we do think is still good enough to chase down his first podium. It's been 11 years since we've said that, all my days. But he's here, and he might be taking that seat. So Nico Hulkenberg is definitely in contention to take that Haas seat for 2021. This could, of course, also go alongside Mick and Robert. Again, we could be looking at what happened at Williams a few years ago when Felipe Massa joined or came out of retirement. Came out of retirement. Nico Hulkenberg. Felipe Massa came out of retirement for Lance Stroll. Of course, you had a young driver who needed experience. You needed an old driver who had experience. We could be looking at that. We could be looking at Mick or Robert, who might not have a Formula 1 experience that much, alongside Nico Hulkenberg, who has 10 years of nothing. I mean, you can't get better experience than that. So we could be looking at Nico Hulkenberg in that Haas seat. Another driver is, of course, Sergio Perez, his counterpart at formerly Force India, of course, and also the man that Nico took his seat for 2 races. He is without a seat. Incredibly unlucky. Everyone's head turned to what was going on there. I mean, yes, of course, Sebastian Vettel wanted that seat, but how could you keep Lance in and not Sergio, one of the most underrated drivers in Formula 1? We are huge Sergio Perez fans on this channel. We really, really do not get what was going on, but nevertheless, he was out of that seat. It is looking really harsh for him. And on Sky Sports F1 at the Eiffel Grand Prix, he said to Simon Lisby and Nico Rosberg, I could be doing your job next year. He could be a commentator, he could be a pundit, whether that be in English or Spanish. Now, firstly, I think he will be a good pundit. He will be a good commentator. He knows the sport. Nico Rosberg and other drivers have got better careers, or good careers. And yes, some of them have got better careers. We do look at the likes of Anthony Davidson, better career as a pundit. Karun Chandok, better career as a pundit. Johnny Herbert, average. Of course, people like Damon Hill, not at all. He won a world championship, but they've still had promising careers as commentators. And of course, the main one, Martin Brundle, incredible 11 years in Formula 1. But I would say, as a commentator, I would say as David Croft's right-hand man and the Formula 1 ambassador, this is his, this was the highlight of his career, in my opinion. That was a sidetrack. So Sergio Perez going back to him, of course, to take that seat at Haas, it would be good for him. The man who definitely deserves a seat in Formula 1 next year. Definitely does. As I say, one of the most underrated drivers. Very much like Kevin Magnussen. He went to McLaren in 2013 in the transitional year where things did not work out, and that the team could have wrecked his career. On 2 occasions have now done this. Sergio and Kevin, come on, McLaren, what you doing? Daniel Ricciardo's next, no, I'm joking. So yes, he could be taking that seat. There is definitely a possibility there. Other people that could be taking the seat, of course, Lance Stroll. We don't know what happened with him at Aston Martin. Yes, of course, he is the son of the owner, the chairman of the team, Lawrence Stroll. But going on to the next story, it could be a little bit like maybe his time there is up. And of course, there's also been slight rumours of George Russell's career with Williams. Because of the financial difficulties that Williams have been in since around 2017. It might not be good. They might not have the funds to keep George Russell for another year. And again, if he is on his todd, he is such a good driver. He deserves to be in Formula 1. But this will be a massive change if George Russell takes this seat. As I say, the chances of this happening are very slim. But he will be going from a Mercedes to a Ferrari Junior program team. I could see that not happening. I'm just covering all bases here, but the main two ones in this situation, alongside the Formula 2 drivers, are of course Nico Hulkenberg and Sergio Perez. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think? Who do you think will take the Haas seat? Do you think it will be the two Formula 2 drivers I've just mentioned there, Mick and Robert? Do you think it'll be Nico? Do you think it'll be Sergio? Do you think it'll be Lance, George? Or it'll be Anthony Davidson who will come out of retirement for this drive? Let me know, and yes, what do you think will happen to Haas as a team in the future? Lance Stroll did not race at the 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix and was replaced by Nico Hulkenberg, the man who has been at the forefront to help out Racing Point in their 2020 campaign. Of course, he did the 2 events at Britain, of course, the British Grand Prix, a race that he did very well at qualifying for. Of course, the man who was a late call, I think 48 hours ago, he was in Germany, and of course then he flew over to Silverstone. But then unfortunately he did not do that race, that had a problem with the car. But then the next week, of course, again he took the seat because Sergio Perez, of course, had contracted COVID-19 and sat in isolation for 2 weeks. Nico did a very good race in that. I think he won Driver of the Day, good solid points finish, and showing that Nico was very versatile and reliable to go back to his old team of Racing Point or formerly Force India and do a good race in that situation. We were all hoping for Nico to return, but again, hopefully not in the situations like we just saw. Of course, Sergio Perez getting the virus that we are all, of course, this year has been plagued by. Of course, Sergio has made a full recovery and was back for a few races in the interim. At the Eiffel Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, a race that they were both drivers were hoping to do a good race. It was not Sergio, it was his counterpart Lance Stroll. He had not contracted COVID-19 at this stage, but he did feel unwell. And of course, again, in the climate of what's happening in the world, if you do feel unwell, over everything, it's not a little sniffle, it takes precedence over racing. So he sat on the sidelines, and of course he was making a good, strong, full recovery for, of course, the next race in Portimao. Lance Stroll sat aside and let German driver Nico Hulkenberg take the reins. Again, a very strong race from him. He won driver of the day. Of course, Daniel Ricciardo should have possibly got it. I did vote for him, but Nico Hulkenberg got it nevertheless because of his, as I say, versatility and reliability for that race. So it has now come out that Lance Stroll, who was feeling unwell at the Eiffel Grand Prix, has sadly contracted COVID-19 and will sit out the Portimao Grand Prix and possibly even the Imola Grand Prix, the third Italian Grand Prix, which of course is next weekend as a back-to-back race to Portugal and Italy. He will sit out those 2 races as he has contracted the virus. It's very sad news, and of course we have to start with Lance Stroll. We do hope that he makes a full recovery in the next few days, of course, staying in isolation, and of course hopefully beat the virus and get back to racing. The next race will be Istanbul after Imola passes, and hopefully he will be fit enough and healthy enough to drive in Istanbul. Of course, a track that Lance Stroll has driven at before, not in Formula 1, but a track that he's driven at, and apparently he's done quite well. So hopefully Lance Stroll does make a recovery, but it does leave Force India or Racing Point even in the situation of who will drive their car. Well, there's only one man. Who are you going to call? Ghost Nico Hulkenberg, the man who is so reliable, Mr. Reliable. We call him Mr. Nearly Man in the few years that we, saw him in Formula 1. He is now Mr. Reliable. I absolutely love it. Nico is ticking all the right boxes for me. Okay, yes, he might not be the best driver, and of course, 10 years without a podium, he is definitely chasing that. But for the reliability of this guy, I absolutely love it so much. He is incredible. He's really, really a big fan for me. And he will be stepping into that Racing Point car for the fourth time and the third race, hopefully the third race, of 2020. The man who doesn't even have a contract with Racing Point, the man who was going to retire, who wants to put his feet up and relax in Germany, the man who we thought was going to be a pundit, who was doing work for Sky Deutschland, and now he's put down the microphone, he's picked up the steering wheel, and he's back, and it's absolutely crazy. Well done, Nico. It definitely is helping his Formula One chance. Definitely, this is the best CV he can have to come back next year. Of course, the previous story about Haas, you know, what was going to happen there, what was going to happen between their two drivers. As I say, you know, I talk about Nico Hulkenberg there. It's definitely helping that. You know, he must be absolutely loving this situation. I mean, apart from the Lance bit, of course, he will not like that. But he must be loving the chance that he's going to be now in this car for the fourth time. He must be absolutely loving it. So it leads you on to the next question of, is Nico ready to come back to Racing Point or Aston Martin for next year? Now, again, that team has almost decided what they're going to be doing. You know, they've signed Sebastian Vettel, a move that they are very excited about. Otmar Szafnauer and Lawrence Stroll are very excited to get him into the car. You also have Lance Stroll, who is almost confirmed at the team for the next few years. You have Sergio Perez, who, even though he was one of the most underrated and one of the most successful drivers on the grid, to of course never amount to a world championship, he had to step down for Sebastian Vettel. It's kind of almost locked in there. And maybe we're not looking at another driver to take the reins, but Nico has got the chance to get in with that team in 2021. Because of the reliability and because of the versatility that the German driver does have, I think that they would be very stupid to look over him. And if another team does not take him, such as Haas, I will be thinking maybe Nico Hulkenberg is the best person for me to have in that car. It should be looking good for the German driver. But obviously, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think on Nico Hulkenberg and his career at Racing Point? 4 races, 4 events, 4 Grand Prix he'll be racing. It's absolutely incredible. You know, he is definitely he's doing a very good job at the team. So well done, Nico Hulkenberg, and we hope to see you on the Formula 1 paddock in 2021, either as a reserve driver or possibly a real driver. And guys, let me know, will he be in the dark grey overalls of the American team of Haas, or will he be in the full green colours of Aston Martin? Or will he be, where will he be? Let me know. Because he is hot news at the moment. I can't believe we're even talking about Nico Hulkenberg. He retired in 2019 and he is back on the grid. Almost a driver who just flies over everyone's head. It really does. But nevertheless, the Portugal Grand Prix, this Portuguese Grand Prix on Sunday, he'll be rooted for, and let's hope that he can have a good race. Also, of course, Sergio Perez, the lone contracted for Racing Point driver, of course, but the man who is stepping down. Let's hope he can have a good race, of course, to conclude his final season in Formula 1. Let's also hope that Roman and Kevin at Haas, again, their final season to conclude an incredible year, you know, incredible career. 10 years of Roman Grosjean and almost 10 at Kevin in Formula 1. It's goodbye for a lot of drivers, but it's incredible to see what their careers have come to and to see what they can do in the future. So guys, there we go. Thank you very much for watching the episode today. We hope that you've enjoyed the news stories, and let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about all the news stories I have said in today's episode. Also as well, please help us out in terms of subscribing and head over to SoundCloud, where you can catch the first episode from last Saturday and the second episode tomorrow of our F1 Debate Show podcast. The F1 DS podcast number 2 will not have me on tomorrow, unfortunately. Again, like I said at the start, I am very busy at the moment. But episode 1 was good. Hopefully episode 2 will be as good. And as I say, for the future, it should be a good venture on SoundCloud. Please go and help us out and give us a follow over there. We hope that you do enjoy our content. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the news video ahead of the 2020 Portuguese Grand Prix in Portimao. The race reaction will be done by me on Sunday on YouTube straight-ish after the race. Please help us. Please go and check us out after the race. Go and head over to find out what my opinions are of the race, my rating, my driver of the day. And yes, hopefully we can have a good conflab and a good episode over there. But in the meantime, guys, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe. We hope that you enjoy the Portuguese Grand Prix. And until next time, we'll see you later.